Psst, psst. Is there something outside? Was something delivered? We're gonna go check it out? Kinks, it's here. Kiki the cat. That's her. Hey, Keeks. Yo. So I got my box from Right Stuff. I wasn't able to get everything I wanted in here, so obviously I know what's in the box. I was able to order. But there's a few other things from here I couldn't get, so we need to actually go hunt down some stuff. So let's we gotta make a quick trip to maybe Barnes & Noble, see if they got the last couple books I need. So let's go.
2 hours later.
So I'm back from Barnes & Noble, and I'll show you what I got from there, along with what came in my box. So this time on Manga Haul, I have 2 themes, basic ideas for this video I wanted to do. Is first, I wanted to show you some brand new, spanking, awesome manga that you can read right now that is new, volume 1s, stuff that just came out this year, or recently. So I got Record of Ragnarok, volume 1, Kaiju number 8, volume 1, and the other new thing that is new, it's not really volume 1, it's more of a spin-off, Demon Slayer, Stories of Water and Flame. So those are my 3 manga I got right here that are new for this year, that are brand spanking new, that if you're looking for new manga, those are probably some of your best options. Oh, and one last one, Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater. This is actually really cool. I hope they keep printing these. It's in the works that they're going to make more. So I'll have more volumes of this. Pretty much this is a compilation of Akira Toriyama's early works. Not his main manga, some shorter stories. Some really good stuff in here, actually. Some of it's kind of hit and miss, because some of it's his early work. So when he wasn't very good at, writing a story or anything even funny. But his art style is recognizable from the very beginning, which is really cool. Another thing I got is I finally got volume 12 of Vinland Saga. So I was looking forward to this for quite a few years actually already, so I'm finally being able to read the next chapter in this story, and this story might be wrapping up soon, so I don't know how many volumes are going to be left, but they're coming, and I can't wait to finish this series. It's seriously one of the best. And the other thing, and the thing I needed to go to Barnes & Noble for, is I needed to find more volumes of Jujutsu Kaisen. So what I was able to get on Right Stuff is I was able to get volumes 1, 3, 5, and 6. At Right Stuff they didn't have volumes 4, and I didn't pick up volume 0 because that's kind of a prequel. It's not, you don't have to read it first actually. It's a 0th volume, so it's more of a side story of what happens before the story starts. More of obviously a prequel. You probably would want to get established in the series first before reading it. So there's volume 1, 2. I can read 3. I can go up to 3. And I'm missing 4, and I got 5 and 6. I've already read some of this. I'll jump into that and in the deep dive section. Like, I've read a couple chapters from Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater. I've read a couple volumes of what I have of Demon Slayer. Not Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen. This is Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh, don't drop it. And I already read these 2, so I'll talk about that in just a minute.
And for the deep dive section, I'll jump right into Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's what I've been reading mostly out of this whole set, because I already read volume 1 and 2. I'll probably finish up volume 3, and then I'm gonna take a break because I gotta find volume 4. But so far I'm kind of impressed. It's pretty good. I like it. It was a little bit slow start, maybe through the first third half of the manga of the first volume, just because it took a while for like anything super interesting to happen. Like, he had his first encounter with this curse, and he ended up eating the finger thing, which gave him the powers, but also made him kind of possessed. And then they wanted to maybe just kill him, and then they enrolled him in the school, and they introduced the school. This kind of the first half just kind of set up stuff. But as that finally progressed, it got a little better, and they introduced more characters. And there's, I think, one more battle in there real quick. Yeah, just like one little mission they went on. Is this kind of some sad stuff. And then, yeah, actually almost by the end of this volume, that's where this section started up with this, where it was much more dangerous of a mission. And, the consequences were much higher. They were thrown into the pot out of the fire and into the boiling, what was that? How's it go? They're thrown into the fire for the second mission they kind of went on. And this monster is a little more interesting since it was so kind of terrifying. It's pretty actually scary design. See if I can find a good shot of it. Yeah, actually really cool kind of design monster. But it was at this point where the series, where it was like, oh, like the stakes are actually really high. Like he's getting annihilated here. And I kind of knew that, like, oh, he's losing limbs. He's like, essentially, he's been hinted that he was going to die. Like I knew that stuff really wasn't going to stick. There would be a loophole around it. Like he was going to heal or be revived or whatever. I kind of saw that coming. But Volume 2, it kind of kept with that pace, and I liked it a little bit more. So that's good. It's improved in them. And then they showed more about, I gotta find these character names. Yeah, then it started showing more about Goji, and Goji was training Yuji, and it was a little more interesting at that point in this volume. And actually, where it left off, let me see, where did it leave off? I literally just read this a second ago. I gotta remember what happened now. Well, I guess Yuji was going to be trained for they're going to have kind of the two schools were going to have a get together, and Yuji was training for that. And I think everyone else still thinks he's dead, so that's kind of interesting. He's going to show up, like Goku being alive again when everyone needs him. So, and if I had to guess, maybe a demon's going to attack when all the students are together and stuff like that, the two different schools. So that's probably where it's going to head. Yuji's going to swoop in. He's going to be all powered up because he's been training this whole time with Goji. So that's kind of what's going on now. It's rather interesting. It's pretty decent. Just enough to, because it's so popular, I kind of want to keep up with it just to stay relevant with it. 2 volumes in, so far it gets a pass for sure. So that's Jujutsu Kaisen volumes 1 and 2. My quick summary, pretty good. And then the other thing I was obviously super excited about was Vinland Saga. And I read a good chunk of this, haven't gotten too far, but it's been a little while since their last adventure. Thorfinn and Hild? I think that's her name. Apparently they had a kid together, so during the 2 years, so that kid's at least 2 years old now. And before we got reintroduced after the time skip, it was mostly about Siggy and returning home and not being able to bring Hild back with him. So a little family drama with him. And this reinforces the themes of this entire story, that it's a lot of familial relationships, a lot of father and son relationships. That's really what the core of Vinland Saga is about. So that's kind of where the drama comes from in the first few pages. It's kind of this side story with some side characters, but it's just a little bit of a resolution storyline. What happens to Siggy? It's kind of a side thing. Thorfinn and Hild. I think I got her name right. Hild. Let me make sure. Oh, I'm bad. Her name is Gerded. Thorfinn and Gerded are having a kid, and that's Siggy's first wife. So I'm sorry I got that wrong. Yeah, I'm not good with names. I've always been terrible with names. So I'd like to see where the story goes. So apparently now, as of this volume, Thorfinn and crew are planning on heading out west finally to Vinland. So basically, they're trying to get to North America and setting up, their own livelihoods there and starting a country and getting away from Europe and all the wars and the fighting and killing and stuff like that. So, old man Leif Erikson is still alive in here too. He was shown for a couple pages here. So yeah, Leif Erikson, the actual guy who discovered North America, is actually in this story, and apparently he's going to go with them. That's going to be really cool. So we'll see what happens. I want to read this real bad. Like I said earlier, I'm going to read this. I'm probably going to reread the manga, maybe even rewatch the anime just to compare it more directly. Now that I'd be recapped with both of them. but Vinland Saga is top 5, top 3 favorite manga I've ever read. So it's I hope this manga is this volume can keep up with that, because sometimes Vinland Saga goes on a lull sometimes where it slows down, but the good parts are really good. So, and like I said earlier, one thing I want to do this year is I want to keep up with some new manga that's coming out this year. Obviously I gotta catch up with Demon Slayer because this is a spin-off, so I'll be leaving this on the wayside just for a little bit. Demon Slayer Stories of Water and Flame. But if it stands on its own, then I can pick it up the way it is and just kind of jump into it. But the thing is, I don't really know much about Demon Slayer. I haven't read it, watched it, or anything. But this is a new manga you can read right now. Came out. Everything I'm considering here, it came out in January, maybe even December or later. So it's February right now, end of February. Another thing, Record of Ragnarok. Now, some people have been reading this already, but this finally got printed, and I read through this whole thing pretty swiftly. This is actually it almost has a blistering pace to it, so I went through this whole bit really quickly, and I'm actually kind of excited for more because it was actually pretty good. So Record of Ragnarok is about all the gods of all the pantheons of all the mythologies out there have gotten together, and they're deciding the fate of humanity because they're just kind of sick of all of us humans messing everything up all the time. So they decided they were going to wipe out humanity, but one of the Valkyries, Brunhild, maybe that's what I was thinking before, the Valkyrie Brunhild invoked a law that humanity gets to, that a battle between gods and humanity is what is basically their last ditch effort, what they can before they get wiped out. Before it's like mixing mythology, so it gets confusing about how I like to put things. But it's mixing a bunch of stuff together. But in Norse mythology, Ragnarok is the apocalypse, and a bunch of gods fight each other, and it's just devastating. In this, Ragnarok is like a clause in their laws that allows humans and gods to fight each other to determine their fate. So the Valkyrie is invoking this law as a last-ditch effort to save humanity. And so basically she gets, I don't know who picks, it didn't say who picks who gets to fight, but 12 of the greatest human warriors ever of all time fight off against 12 gods, and it's basically first to 7 wins. And there's a list of the fighters of who will be contending. And there's a lot of people I don't really recognize from history, but if I had to guess, they're actual real historical figures, not like mythological characters, because I was expecting to see something like Achilles or something like that. But Achilles is a fictional character written by Homer, so not necessarily part of the Greek mythology, but a lot of people kind of rope that into the Greek mythology. But the writings of Homer are technically fiction, so even if the Trojan War happened, but Achilles necessarily isn't a real person necessarily. So there's a warrior in China from the Three Kingdoms. He's the first human to fight. His name is Lu Bu. So he's basically this ultimate human fighter, and he's pretty much said to be the greatest warrior of all time. And he has to go fight Thor, which the whole premise of the manga is that it's basically impossible for a human to fight a god. It's like an ant and a giant. It wouldn't even be comparable. But Brunhild has some tricks up her sleeve when it comes to the weapons and items and stuff like that they use to fight each other. So obviously Thor has his gauntlets and his his hammer, but Brunhild has a couple of ways of maybe negating those advantages that Thor has and giving an advantage to Lu Bu to fight Thor on an even playing field, because they're both undefeated warriors. So in their own respect, they're equals almost. If you take away their crazy weaponry that they might have, that Thor might have. So it's actually just as much of a cat and mouse game as it is just an all-out battle of brutality. So I was expecting stuff to be just more crazy and bloody, but there is a lot of cat and mouse stuff going on here, and I kind of like that a lot. So that's the most I got to say. I read it. The fight between Thor and Lu Bu didn't even finish by this volume. It actually just started cranking up, and it's actually kind of interesting how they're doing it. So It's kind of a cool little world they're building here, so I'd say give this a look for sure. Next, I have Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater, which is actually just an anthology of a lot of his earlier works, or maybe works that were only minorly published in between his other major series. And a few of these are actually his earliest works that ever were published, so I read through the first few. And it's stuff called Wonder Island, which is just really just kind of a comedy thing of a guy lost on an island trying to get back to Japan. And he runs across some goofy characters, and there's this nonsensical stuff happening. Like, we basically have, like, Dr. Disrespect, like, telling this pilot guy, like, don't get blown away, I'm going to tell you how human flight can work. He's like, wait, you're not impressed? Well, he literally told us not to let our minds get blown. He was like, well, you should be impressed. Okay, wow. So it's like, just kind of slapstick humor. The art is kind of cute, but it's not like impressive. It's not like really good, but I kind of like it. I really dig Akira Toriyama's art's work. And then Wonder Island Volume Chapter 2 was less impressive. It was like it says in these bonus pages here, this is stuff that's kind of modern. This is basically Akira Toriyama telling the story of when he first published some of these stories. And he's saying, like, Wonder Island flopped. No one read it. And then he made Wonder Island Volume 2, and it also flopped. And in my opinion, Wonder Island 2 is way worse. It's kind of dry. It's not super funny or anything. And then after that, there's another series he wrote, which is kind of the same thing as Wonder Island Volume 2, but it's got a girl character as the lead, and they go on a wacky adventure, and she, solves a crime. She basically captures Superman. Here's Clark Kent, basically, and she's trying to arrest Clark Kent because he's kind of a villain. And kind of the funny thing here that happens at the end is that Clark Kent, fake, he's not called that, but he's like fake Clark Kent. He's obviously like trying to be Superman. Like, he's obviously trying to up and away. He's trying to fly away, but he's got handcuffs on his feet. So he takes a baby hostage, and what she does is she counters that by taking a cat hostage, and they just kind of have this little arms race of who can take She takes an ant as a hostage, and it's supposed to be like some kind of pun, but obviously it probably doesn't translate well. So she they kind of have like this race of like who can take more hostages, and like it's nonsensical. Like, there's no reason that she would actually do that, but she's not like a competent police officer. She's just kind of there. And then at the end they catch him, and that's kind of it. And then I started reading the next one, and it's kind of interesting. A little more of a actual storyline here going through here. But it's still just kind of more goofy stuff. And this feels a little bit more like something Akira Toriyama would actually write and try to make. I'll see how this goes. This is where I stopped, so I don't know much more about what's in here. But I did flip through this, and there was some cool things I saw. Like, there's this Frieza-looking character. He's a superhero. He's called Cashman. It's really weird. But he literally just looks like Frieza. He's a Frieza redesign, and he's like his own superhero. And there's some stuff in here that looks a lot like Dragon Ball. So that's kind of neat. I kind of want to finish reading this whole thing. Yeah, here it is, that Frieza-looking guy. And based on the artwork, I can just, like, because I'm a big big Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z fan, I kind of know, like, what stages of Akira Toriyama's art looks like. And this is, like, definitely much later, obviously, because the line is clean. The characters are kind of taller and kind of more mature looking. But, like, looks like something he would have written either during or after Dragon Ball Z. And it's just, like, it's kind of like, it's just like if, like, Frieza and Cell, obviously, because, just kind of that redesign, Galactic Spaceman, superhero kind of guy. So, yeah, I'm going to keep reading this. This looks really interesting. It's not, like, great, because it's early works of Akira Toriyama, like when he was in his early 20s trying to get published for the first time, so obviously it wasn't very good. But there's probably some stuff in here that's probably actually really entertaining, and apparently there's going to be more of these. So even if there's only 2 or 3 of these volumes like this, that'd be really cool, though. So I'm looking forward to more of these, and I want to keep reading it. And finally, I also read, this is another first impression of a brand new series you can read right now. kaiju number 8. And I read through this whole thing, this whole first volume. And of everything here, if I read my first impressions here, this is kind of my favorite. I like this a lot. So basically, in a world where kaiju just are really commonplace, Japan is ravaged the most, obviously, because why wouldn't it be? And these giant monsters can attack cities, and they can be dispatched by the elite force. They're just called the defense force. They're just but these giant monsters get killed, and there's companies of people that go in and clean up the mess of a giant monster that's dead in the middle of your city. And so that's one of our main characters. Is he works for one of these companies. He's just a clean man. He's just a I don't know what they call each other. He's just a cleaner. And they go in and they dispose of the body. They keep the parts they want to keep for research and other stuff like that, and they dispose of the rest of it. But he wants to join that defense force, and so does this young kid. He wants to join. He's already in the middle of joining. He's kind of old and washed up, but they've increased the age that they're letting applicants sign up for. So he's going to try again, and because he failed at it before when he was young. Yeah, they're cleaning up this one dead kaiju, and it's like something busts out from inside of it, like another one was living inside of it, and they get attacked, and they survive a little bit, and they learn his backstory of like his childhood friend. When their neighborhood got destroyed, they both agreed to join the defense force, and she made it, and she's like the top. She's the top one. She's the one in the beginning that we saw. She's the one. That's her, and she's like the best of the best. She's probably killed the most kaiju. It's she's just kind of just your typical, like, she's the ultimate one, or she's just the best she's just the best fighter. So they both agreed they wanted to join the defense force, and he's just kind of a cleaner, so he just has like a regular labor job. They're getting attacked, and the one that attacked them, they got blown away, so they got saved, and that's actually, I think that's her. But then something weird happens, like this bug kaiju comes out of nowhere, like he's just like hanging out. They got attacked, they're in the hospital. It goes in his mouth, and then it turns him into a kaiju type monster. And they're like, what is going on? And it gets kind of funny here because he doesn't know how to react to it. And he's just like, he doesn't know what to do. And he's imagining like he's going to get hunted down by the defense force, and he's going to get annihilated because he has no idea what's happening. And it doesn't explain why he got turned into a kaiju. So that's still a big mystery. But then him and the other kid, they sign up for the defense force. They're in the training for it. There's this other character. She's like the leader of the defense force. That's her daughter, and so she's like training herself to be the best. But her dad's like really hard on her, trying to make her perfect. And then they go through the training and stuff, and it's really interesting because they have the suits that are actually made of kaiju parts. Like the suits are made of the kaiju muscles and stuff like that let them be really strong and fight the kaiju. So they kind of go through this training. So it feels like, like Pacific Rim, Evangelion. And I say Evangelion because the suits are made of like a organic material, kind of like the Evas are. But they don't have giant mechas, at least not yet, probably. And it feels a little bit like My Hero Academia because we see a bunch of people just like all suited up and they're in the training, and they're just training to fight these guys. So it feels a little bit like that because you kind of seen it before. So they're in the exam to get, selected for the defense force. But obviously he's like kind of he's not very good, but he's obviously got that kaiju juice flowing through him, so that can kind of come in handy. And there's that guy. There's that girl's father. She's really rough on him. Of course, you're the top student. Why wouldn't you be? You have to be perfect, stuff like that. And they get attacked at the end while they're doing that training, and there's no one else around. Obviously, luckily, and he manages to turn into a kaiju just in time to save her. And she's like, processing that, like, So Kaiju number 8 is actually really cool. I like it a lot. That's the first volume. Kind of spoilery for the first volume, but I think it's really good. So if you've read it, or if you want to read it, it's really good. I tried to leave out some stuff. But yeah, it's also kind of fast paced, so I got through it pretty quickly. And now I probably have to wait a while before volume 2 comes out. So that's the manga I'm gonna read for now. So I'll give you an update on some of these when I finish them. I might do another episode revolving around new manga that people can read, just so that's a little more information out there of what is available beyond what I have owning here. So look out for that video. That'll be coming out soon. I also have to make a collection update video, so look out for that. That should be out. So see you guys later.